interrupting the Deputy President.
Yes.
The flight that I had, sometimes we all experience it affects one's ears. So I couldn't hear so nicely. If the Deputy President can just repeat, please, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Member, that's not a point of order. Order, Honorable Member, it's not a point of order. Actually, without you raising a question, Deputy President did repeat his last sentence. Order, Honorable Member. Deputy Honorable Ntlangwini, your supplementary question.
Thank you very much, Speaker and Deputy President. And I'm taking the question on behalf of our President, CIC. Deputy President, we hear about the outreach programs and the uninspiring national dialogue that you are alluding to. However, we can't ignore the fact that the Auditor General year on year are reporting these mishaps within our municipalities. Only 41 municipalities received clean audits, and some municipalities failed to even give and submit financial statements. So what interventions, or why have national government failed to make decisive interventions to redirect local government into an effective vessel for service delivery? And we do want you to repeat the fact. Are you disagreeing with what Mr. Ramaphosa have said? The DA Western Cape is one of the best models. Thank you.
Deputy President.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Ntlangwini. The President was quoted out of context. And let me tell you why. When the President addressed our councillors, his first emphasis was that councillors should learn from one another. That's where he started. He then went on that he has come across this information that there are a lot of municipalities, or many municipalities in the Western Cape that have clean audit. He says, go and see what they are doing as well. But what he did not say was that the Western Cape is really the panacea for good governance and service delivery and everything. He was focusing on clean audits. By the way, in some of the municipalities that have clean audits are not necessarily in the Western Cape. But the President was saying, as you get an experience of learning from one another, also look at the Western Cape as well. But he was not saying, oh, well, you know, the Western Cape knows it all. In fact, Honorable Ntlangwini, I was going to invite Honorable Malema to go with me to Khayelitsha, if he has time next week. Because when you go to Khayelitsha and some of the townships and informal settlement in this province, I don't see the good governance at all. So it's one thing to say you've got a clean audit, but it's one thing if you are changing the lives of people for the better. And that's really where we must focus. But you know, the media has got its own way of reporting. They're only focused on this issue, giving an impression that our president was praising the DA. That was not the case. You are happy, Honorable.
Thank you, Deputy
Can we
President.
not have an interpolation? Let me allow Deputy President to finish, and then I'll take your point of order.
Yeah. No, I'm done. I'm just saying I will be visiting Khayelitsha next week, and I'm
What's your point
inviting the
of order?
CRC to come with me.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, Deputy President. We'll convey the message to the President. I just want to also allude to municipalities where we govern in Koroleni and Sengo, where we have MMCs.
So-
they got clean audits.
Order, honorable member. I've heard the political point, but it's not the point of order. Can I now move to the next supplementary question, Honorable Ndamase?
Now, Speaker.
Honorable Mawuto, what is the point of order?
Yeah, no. I just wanted to assist the Deputy President. I didn't want to interject when you were speaking. President Malema was in Kailita in July. He was dated about 12 years. I don't know this thing of the ANC inviting president. The sitting president was also inviting him to Marikana. I keep thinking obsession our president. Now the program honorable speaker. We're fine.
Honorable Mawuto, unfortunately, you are not giving us a point of order. Secondly, the one delegated by Honorable Malema, who is in this house, have responded. So I just want us to allow and continue the process. You have responded. Is your senior, but I'm helping your senior because she is not in the room, so she might not have heard you. So can we continue with the next supplementary?
Paulo Freire, Honorable Malema Ntangwini once said, whoever
Honorable
teaches...
Ndamase, can you please ask a supplementary question? You have got 53 seconds. Order. Mam Kawula.
The question, Honorable Deputy President, is as you understand the symbiotic relationship between the municipal councils and the institution of traditional leadership, as epitomized by your ukukahlela visit to Kumkani Ndlovyezwe of the Nyandeni Kingdom on the 2nd of October, can you shed light on the following? One, your attempts to improve the conditions of service, inclusive of pensions and medical aid for traditional leaders. Secondly, how far have you gone thus far in fulfilling the commitments the government made at Nyandeni to improve the conditions of roads and put agriculture at the center of the development of that area? Thank you.
Honorable Ndamase, may I advise you that you have departed completely from the initial question because you are now specifically asking on Nyandeni, but I would leave it to the Deputy President to answer. Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I will just be brief, Honorable, and I must say that, yes, indeed, as we visit various areas in the country, we do interface with traditional leaders. We meet with communities. They do raise these issues about, tools of trade, their remunerations, etc. Those things are being addressed as we speak. In fact,
Order, Honorable Moodley. Deputy President, you can continue.
In fact, as I was saying, Honorable Ndamase said that I've had a meeting last month with the House of Traditional Leaders, as amongst others, we're addressing those issues. My visit to Enyandeni was really about looking at service delivery interventions. In fact, Honorable Speaker, when I visited Enyandeni, I had 4 ministers and 3 deputy ministers. Minister Ramkhopa, Minister Ndabeni, Noncho, Minister Mantaj, because what we want to do is to make sure that when we visit these areas, we are able not just to listen, but to be able to intervene. And that's why the ministers were there. Deputy Minister of Human Settlement, Mambe Falo was there, Deputy Minister of Police, because they are also raising issues of crime and so on. Deputy Minister Litsike, Namash. What I've done now, in conclusion, I have now returned to all of them to give me reports on how they have now intervened in those issues that were raised about roads and so on and so on. So we will get a report from ministers in the coming week or so, and we'll be able to compile a comprehensive report of our interventions. Thank you, Honorable Member.
Thank you. I've noted that there's a hand. I'm not sure there's a point of order, Honorable Mentor.
Thank you, Speaker. Well, Speaker, it's a point of order in terms of the rules of the House that the member who asked the question literally took the motion of the EFF at the Eastern Cape Legislature without acknowledging that is the EFF motion which was rejected by the ANC in the Eastern Cape Legislature, and asked the Deputy President about it.
Order, Honorable Member.
Thank
Thank you very much. But actually, I had dealt with the point of order of the member because it was departing from the original question. So the other matter, I think you might have to address differently. But in respect of this question here, it was out of the original question, and I've advised the member accordingly. Honorable members, may I ask, some of you who are in the House, you are present, so you don't have to log in online because you do disturb the system. I've picked up some of the members are watching the proceedings of this House while they are here. Honorable Van Rooyen.
Thank you, Speaker. I find it very interesting how ANC comrades continue to talk good about the president that is disowning them on any platform that they get. Very disturbing. Deputy President, your so-called GNU interventions to help municipalities seems to be missing the targets, all of them. As MK Party, we say lack of appropriate skills in municipalities and provincial government departments are two major challenges rendering these interventions useless. We call for complete overhaul of municipality skill base, recruit appropriate people for the job, stop allocating billions to municipalities while they can't even write financial statements. Why don't you develop legislation allowing municipalities' allocation to be top sliced for building these skills, instead of opting for them to be used to appoint a consultant, which is not sustainable? They are appointing consultants with this money. Why can't we legislate that they develop skills?
Honorable Member, your time is up. Thank you. Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Van Rooyen, we are in fact intervening in that context of skills. That's one of our big priorities, where we ensure that people in municipalities do understand how to deal with resources. And in the main, in most cases, not really councillors that deal with resources. It's the administrators, your city managers or municipal managers and other officials. And that's where we are also focusing to intervene to make sure things are done properly. We're not just pushing these billions just to any municipality. We look at the capacity. You know that the metro municipalities have much better capacity than other local municipalities. So we do look at that as well. And through the DDM model, we are able to say maybe this kind of project should be dealt with at the national level. But we will interact with municipalities. So we are very conscious of the fact that in some municipalities in the past, when resources are sent, they are sent back to national government, if not wasted, which is not good. Because, you know, when you send money back to national government, you can still get a clean audit, but you have not delivered services. And that's why we are very conscious to ensure that when resources are sent, there's capacity to deliver, to implement, and the resources must be spent properly. So all these issues we are doing now, reviewing the white paper, coming up with new legislation through COCTIS to address exactly that we don't have municipalities that don't know what they are doing, but they keep getting resources. So you are spot on, we are addressing exactly that. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy President. We now move to to Honorable J.B. Lorimer.
Thank you, Speaker. Deputy President, you know, if you only stay in upmarket luxury housing, you sometimes take things for granted and you're not sure what to look for when you go and assess a poorer area like Khayelitsha. So when you go to Khayelitsha, look at the electricity, which is supplied by the municipality, not by Zinyoka. Look at the taps where when you open them, water comes out. There are many tarred roads and there's regular refuse removal. In fact, Cape Town has the largest provision of free electricity and water for indigent households in the country. Now the question, Deputy President, you say that the Western Cape is not the best model of municipal governance. Could you let us know which province is?
Order, Honourable Member, Deputy President.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Lorimer, you are quite right. If I go to Camps Bay, water comes out of the tap in Camps Bay. No problem about that. It can't, listen to me. When I go to Camps Bay, water comes out of the tap. When I go to Khayelitsha, it's not the case. That's the point I'm making. And remember, it's not the fact that some of us stay in suburbs. We grew up in townships, and we still have our families there. So when I'm saying I'm going to go to Khayelitsha, I'm not saying I'm going to go for the first time. We are always there and we can see. In fact, if you go with me to Khayelitsha now, and we need to score the DA's intervention, I'll give you 0 for the work you are doing there. 0, completely 0. Yeah, maybe in Camps Bay I may give you 6. But in Khayelitsha, Guguletu, Bontenyevel, Nyanga, Michel's Play, I give you 0. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Order, Honourable Members. Order, the next question.
Madam Speaker, point of order.
Is that a point of order?
It is, Madam Speaker.
Okay, what's the point of
The
order?
question was very direct. It was, which province does the Deputy President consider to be a better model of municipal delivery?
Not the Western Cape, otherwise the people wouldn't have voted for the PA and dumped the DA.
Order. Honourable members. Order. Honourable members, I don't like to raise my voice when we're in the House, but at times you enable me to do so when you can't even hear yourselves. And I want to remind you also on the rules. The rules say the person asked the question must answer the question. It doesn't say how. But I've always assisted you to remind members of the executive about the core question. Similarly, as I remind you members, when sometimes you veer off the original question in your supplementary question. Indeed, I was going to help you, but now you actually came up front to just say, Deputy President, you can just assist Honorable Lorimer. Which of the province is the best run? Where do you find best run municipalities, if there is any province? Wait, allow the Deputy President to answer.
It's certainly not the Western Cape.
Order.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
I think the Deputy President will come back next time and say, in terms of the scores, who has what scoring. Maybe there's no one who is best. We will see that time. Question number 14, order. has been asked by Honorable Mpapane. The question is, considering that the market inquiry conducted by the Competition Commission into the fresh produce market and their findings in January 2025, that although the fresh produce market exceeds 53 billion, participation by historically disadvantaged farmers remains minimal. To what extent has the government acted upon the recommendations of the Competition Commission to implement measures to increase the annual sales of small-scale and historically disadvantaged farmers through national fresh produce markets to achieve increased participation of historically disadvantaged persons in the agricultural value chain? Honorable Deputy President.
Honorable Speaker, let me thank Honorable Mpapane for posing this critical question and for highlighting the Competition Commission's report released on the 13th of January this year. The report makes recommendation to promote competition, lower entry barriers, and the creation of an inclusive and competitive fresh produce value chain. The report estimates that the total value of fresh produce sold through the national fresh produce markets was over 21 billion rand in 2022, with the overall domestic fresh produce market, including formal retail and fresh produce markets, currently worth over 53 billion rands annually. This is an indication of steady revenue growth over the past 2 years. However, participation by historically disadvantaged farmers remain minimal. Honorable Speaker, addressing equity and inclusion of small-scale and previously disadvantaged farmers is crucial for achieving sustainable, inclusive, and competitive fresh produce value chains in South Africa. The inclusion of emerging black farmers in commercial agriculture is critical for the transformation of the agricultural sector and our land reform program. The ongoing land reform process and release of government land demonstrate our government's commitment to benefit emerging farmers and ensure that they contribute to the growth of South Africa's agricultural economy. Honorable Speaker, in September this year, I visited Plain Ezeljacht Farm in Waterskloof local municipality in Caledon with Minister Nyonso and other cabinet ministers to discuss land reform programs and community development challenges with emerging farmers in the Overberg district here in the Western Cape. As part of our oversight visit, we also attended the NAMPO Harvest Day in Botterville, and that was on the 15th of May, and then back to NAMPO Cape Agricultural Show in Bredasdorp on the 12th of September this year. These events alone draw over 40,000 visitors and features over 5,000 exhibitors from across the agricultural value chain, including mechanization, smart technology, inputs, financing, agricultural services, and farmer support. Through these engagements, we are focusing on improving government support to the agricultural sector, particularly to emerging black farmers, by addressing challenges related to land reform, infrastructure, access to finance through making available title deeds, farm safety, and also access to markets. Honorable Speaker, part of the recommendation of the Competition Commission was for the Department of Agriculture to undertake a review of legal framework which national fresh produce markets currently operate. In this regard, the Department of Agriculture is developing two draft bills, namely the Agricultural Produce Agents, APA Amendment Bill, and the National Fresh Produce Market Council Bill to address the concerns raised in the report. In the meantime, the Department of Agriculture, the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition, and other relevant state bodies are giving attention to the recommendation that relate to barriers to entry. We further welcome the Competitions Commission's proposal of the target of 10% annual sales uplift for small-scale and historically disadvantaged farmers. While on the other hand, government continues to engage the US government on the reduction of the 30% unilateral tariff imposed on our exports to the US market. Through multi-sectoral collaboration with partners like Land and Agricultural Development Bank of South Africa and other commercial financiers, government will continue to support all farmers, commercial, small-scale, and historically disadvantaged farmers, and ensure that the agricultural sector is representative, inclusive, and contribute to the growth of the economy and ensure food security in the country. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy President. Supplementary question by Honorable Mpapane.
Ngiyabonga Sekela Mongameli ngalo ngendlela uphendule ngayo lo mbuto. Kepha tinsaye litibukene nebalimi laba ngaphambilini bebancishwe emathuba ukuthi bakhone kuncintisana kulomkhakha wekulima. Tinyendi kakhulu njengoba sewuphawulile. Kepha lekungito tona kakhulu kati leti bahluphako. Tindleko letikhula njalo. Tenzengo yemanyolo. Tindleko letikhula njalo tagezi. Tindleko neguquguquka kwesimo selitulu. So loku konke loku kwenda ukuthi bangakhoni ene kunciphisa nendlela yokuthi bancintisane kulomkhakha njengoba sushilo. Ingabe uhulumende solwendile yini luhlolo lwekusebenta ngempumelelo kwetinhlelo tekusekela labalimi labasafufusa kulesikhathi sanyalo kude nabo batokwati ukuthi bancintisane kulomncintiswano wale market emkhicito lemisha. Ngiyabonga.
Siyabonga Mpapane. Sekela Mongameli.
Mangbonge Somlomo. Uma sihambela abalimi kakhulu labancane, or let me call them emerging farmers, sithola ukuthi kakhulu kuyiqiniso ukuthi abanye abanazo lezinto ezibanceda kakhulu ukuthi baphumelele ngokulima, amanyoro njengoba usho, kodwa abanye bakhala kakhulu ngomhlaba. They don't have access to land. Into ebaluleke kakhulu le, even before we talk about other supports. So we focus a lot, manghamba nabo Minister Nyon, so we make sure that we release land. Kodwa ke, we can't release land bese siyahamba. So hulumeni, what we need to do is to ensure that they get support njengoba usho kulezi zinto okhuluma ngazo. Enye into esithole kakhulu ukuthi bakhala ngayo indaba yeimali, access to finance. Uma siya kulama expo we agricultural sector njengabo NAMPO, you find that a lot of them are complaining about access to finance, particularly the black farmers. I did say, Honorable Speaker, earlier that some of these events are attended by about 400 farmers coming through. But I did notice as I'm visiting these expos that laba abalimi abantu abamnyama abekho baningi into esibhekile leyo, and siyabona ukuthi abekho baningi ngoba abayitholi imali ebayifunayo ukuthi baphumelele ngokulima. So what we do when we visit, sihamba nabo land bank, sibize nabo IDC ukuthi mabancede lama farmers so that they are able to buy those things that you are talking about that they need so much to ensure that their farmers, the farms can succeed and be productive. So interest yenzayo leyo, but kubaluleke kakhulu ukuthi siye kulezo indawo sizibonele ngokwethu ukuthi kwenzakalani. And when we were in all these areas, including in the Free State, where they are dealing with farming in apples, in the Western Cape, sibonile lento ukuthi abantu abamnyama bayawunida or bayafuna ukuthi bathole uncedo kakhulu ukuthi bakwazi baphumelele ngokulima. Sizoba supporta sisebenza ngama department ahlukile senza lento esibiza ukuthi the whole of government. So agricultural department ayiyodwa, the Department of Land and Reform is there, the Department of Finance, and all these state financing institutions. Ngoba ikhona imali lapho mayifike kwabantu abafuna ukulima. Ngiyabonga.
Siyabonga. The second supplementary question will be taken by Honorable Mentenkuna. It says Honorable Mente, so who is Mente today? Okay.
No, thank you, Speaker. DP, the EFF has been advancing the argument that if we really want to help the black small-scale farmers, then government needs to have a deliberate strategy to say government is going to buy from them to supply things like hospitals, schools, and many other public institutions and entities. And we have not been getting a favorable response from government in terms of saying, why don't we set specific targets to say 50% or 40% of the supplies that government is going to buy is going to prioritize these black small-scale farmers so that we can deal with this problem that has been raised by the Competition Commission. But also you've put a racist in the Ministry of Agriculture who clearly doesn't believe in affirmative action, clearly doesn't believe in the empowerment of black, small-scale farmers. So even if you do have, a program to develop the disadvantaged, as the Competition Commission has been saying, you are likely to experience sabotage because you have deployed a racist that is against black empowerment, that is against affirmative action in the Ministry of Agriculture. So how do you expect then to have a cohesive strategy as a cabinet, as a government, when you have got this individual who is going to be pulling you to the opposite direction? Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Ndlozi, in terms of rules, you know that you used the language that you are not supposed to. Racist. You have to withdraw. Yes.
Who did I use it against, Speaker?
No. Honorable Lonzi. No. We all know the Minister of Agriculture. I do think no, it's not managing. It is my duty to protect all members of the House.
No, I think the DP heard my question. I withdraw, Chair.
Thank you for
DP,
withdrawing. DP, you can.
Forward to your response.
Yes, I heard your question that we should be doing everything to support these farmers. What we're doing as cabinet is not really a responsibility of one minister. We try to intervene as the cabinet, as government. That's why you see me visiting these areas with a lot of ministers. So ministers must not think where they are deployed is their purview alone. We want them to report regularly to cabinet. So we are monitoring that area because the issue of land reform and agriculture are very related. And we are making sure that those ministers work together. That's why you have even an interministerial committee to ensure that colleagues pull things together. So with respect to the things that we need to do and support that is needed for farmers, particularly emerging black farmers, it's not just whether a minister deployed there likes it or not. It's a program of government. And a program of government must be implemented. So far, I've not realized any difficulties or resistance working with the minister deployed there. I go around with them, and I can say that what government has decided to do as a priority, all ministers are working on that. We are watching everybody. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy President. Honorable Matri.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Deputy President, while Competitions Commission's recommendations are commendable, many historically disadvantaged farmers still face barriers, such as lack of access to storage, logistics, and consistent market pricing. What concrete steps has the government taken beyond policy pronouncements to address these structural barriers that prevent small-scale farmers from benefiting meaningfully from national fresh produce markets?
Thank you, Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Machi. What I've said earlier is that as government, we are prioritizing what we hear is a problem when we interface with them. One of them, of course, is access to these markets. If you look at the fresh produce market, there are not many of them in the country. And you have the big ones, for instance, in Johannesburg, you have a huge fresh produce market, but the city of Joburg has ensured that there's access to many of